welcome back to Homestead Corner. Today we are going to make our own instant rice. Keeping long grain white rice in the house is super important, making sure you have a big stash of that. But I think some instant rice on hand is also important because in those times when you have an emergency, I don't normally use instant rice, but when we are short on fuel or we know that we may have a time coming up that we have to rely on a fuel that we don't have tons of, we want to make sure that we can cook meals really quickly. And instant rice is one of those things that cooks in just a couple of minutes. And if you're going to be cooking freeze-dried food, this is only going to take a couple of minutes, just like your freeze-dried food. So it really will conserve fuel in those times of emergencies. So having some on hand is important. But instant rice is definitely not as cheap as your long grain rice that you get. The long grain rice is going to take 20 minutes. Instant rice takes 3 to 5 minutes most of the time. So that is going to be a big saver on fuel. So the long grain rice is so much cheaper. It really is pennies per ounce. We buy it in 20-pound bags, so it is really inexpensive. Where a small box of your instant rice is going to be about $3 or $4, you're going to get 20 times more for that price. So today we're going to whip this up. It's quick, it's simple, it's not labor intensive. So all we're going to do is I'm going to use my pressure cooker here. You can use the Instapot if that's what you have. I have a Ninja Foodie, same thing pretty much. And this is 8 quarts. So you want to make sure how much rice you can put in there depending on the size of your pressure cooker. So I've already got 6 cups of water in here, and I am going to do 6 cups of rice. My hair is a hot mess today. Oh my goodness. So I got so much going on in this kitchen. It is crazy. But I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of salt. I don't use a lot of salt in my cooking, but I want about 1 teaspoon in here. You could definitely do 2 teaspoons. It's totally up to you. But I don't add anything else to my salt. Just 1 teaspoon, 6 cups of water, and we're going to rinse this 6 cups of rice because we want to make sure it's nice and clean. We're not going to soak it or anything like that. I am just going to get it into the strainer. So I just rinse this with some water until the water runs clear, and then we're going to put it right into our pot. So 6 cups of water, 6 cups of rice, 1 teaspoon of salt. That's it. We don't need anything else in here. I normally would cook my rice with chicken broth, but because I am going to make this instant rice, I'm just going to use water today. So then I'm going to put my lid on, and we're going to pressure cook. I want to make sure it is on seal, and then we're going to put it on high. And I am only going to cook this for 4 minutes. And I have found whether I'm making 2 cups of rice, 4 cups, 6 cups, it doesn't matter. 4 minutes and is all it needs, 1-to-1 ratio. And then we're going to naturally let it lose pressure for 15 minutes once it's done. And then we'll release the steam and it will be ready. So we're just gonna get this started and let her rip. So once the steam has naturally released for about 15 minutes, I'm just gonna open up my steam vent and let the rest of the steam out, and then we're gonna open this up and let it cool down. Okay, so once the rice is done, I like to give it a nice fluff. This makes really good rice. That's how we always make it. It's the easiest way for us. We're just going to give this a good fluff, and then I'm going to get started on some cooler rice that I already have ready to go. I'm just going to let this sit in the pot and cool down, and I just want to cool it so I can touch it and not get burned is the only thing. So I do have some rice that was in the fridge for I made the other day, which you can see over here. And this rice is cold from the refrigerator, and that works too. So if you only have time to make it, you want to stuff it in the fridge and then load your trays later, you can do that. It works just fine with no issues. So I'm just going to take my rice, and I like to put it in a nice thin layer on my dehydrator trays. And we're just going to put this on here. It's a little clumpy in the fridge, but that's okay. We'll just break those clumps right up. And I just want to get a nice thin layer on here. And this rice is pretty cold, so it's pretty easy to work with. And we're just breaking those up. My dishwasher's screaming at me. So we're just going to spread this out the best we can, get it nice and even, and that way it dries evenly. Because if you have it too balled up too much, it will take a little bit, chunks will take longer to dry. And this really doesn't take all that long, usually about 6 hours, depending on your dehydrator. It doesn't take too long. And then you've got instant rice, which is wonderful for when you need quick meals or in an emergency and you're limited on fuel, which is why we keep instant rice. I don't really use it that much because most of my meals take more than 20 minutes, so I can get the rice made. Or I do make big batches also, so I have extra rice in the fridge most of the time. So once we get this nice and fairly even around the tray, I'm just going to take this and pop this in my dehydrator, and I'm going to keep filling trays until my dehydrator is okay. So once we have all our trays filled, I did use some different trays here. I've got the solid bottom ones that you use for like fruit roll-ups and liquidy stuff, and I also have the ones with the tiny holes. This dehydrator, the Magic Mill, has stainless steel trays, and it's got big huge holes in it. It's fine for apples and big items, but you need to add the liners for the rice, definitely. So we've got this all filled up and ready to go. And I'm just going to turn this on, and I only need this to go, usually 6 hours is enough. I usually put it in for 7, that way I don't have to mess with it too much. And I can just open the door, check it, see if it's done, and let it keep going if it needs to. This dehydrator is pretty big with 11 trays in it. It's got lots of square footage, so I really like that. I get more in there at a time. It makes my life easier. And I'm just going to change my temperature. And we want this around 120 to 130. Let's say 122. Perfect. This one doesn't have a each individual degree, but it goes in that ballpark. So 120, 130 is usually where I do rice. So we're just going to let this go, and I'll bring you back when we're done. So this dried for about 6.5 hours it took. I have 11 trays in my dehydrator. So, and it depends on your dehydrator, but right around there, 5, 6, 7 hours, right in that range usually for rice. And I just go through and make sure everything is dry. If there are any little clumps or anything, I want to make sure there's no moisture in there. So I just kind of break everything up, and then we want to let it cool really good once it's done. And we have done that. So we can put this right into a package. I'm going to put it in a Mylar bag so we have it and it will stay in there for quite some time. Probably 10 years it'll be good. But you can see we've just got a nice dry instant rice. And to rehydrate this for a quick meal, just 1-to-1 with water. If you're using 1 cup of rice, you can use 1 cup of water. And we're just going to put this right in our Mylar bag. And while I'm here using a Mylar bag, I'm thinking about, I just got a notification, I think yesterday, Wallaby Bags has these kits with, you get the 1 gallon bags and the labels and oxygen absorbers, everything's in there. They're buy one, get one free right now for the black bags, and I think they're 30% off for the silver bags. So I'll put there's a link in the description, And I will make sure the code for the sale is down there also. And I believe the sale is good till the 13th. So if you need Mylar bags, you can at least get a deal on them, because I always look for those sales. And I like the black bags as well as the silver. I don't feel like either one is better than the other, but the black ones go on sale a lot, so I use a lot of these black bags. So we're just going to bag this up and get it ready for food storage. Once I have it all packaged up in the bag, these jars seal really good when you put oxygen absorbers in a jar to save them. So I'm just going to throw a couple of these in there. They're 100 cc's. I usually use 300 for these bags. And I just crank that lid back on as tight as I can. And then we're going to close this up with this little zipper. Get a little air out of there. And we are going to just seal this up. And then it will be ready for long-term storage. And we haven't added any fats or anything to this. This is going to last for years and years and years. Probably close to as long as regular rice. But because it's already been pre-cooked, I try to use it up a little sooner. So, got that all sealed up nice. And I'm just going to put a label on it. Simple and easy, and it's ready for storage. In about 24 hours, you'll notice that your oxygen absorbers kind of shrank the bag down on most bags, not all bags, and it's okay if it doesn't. And that's it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.